Guruma, let's begin with some basic questions that seekers often grapple with on the spiritual path. Who or what is God?
It's an interesting question because more than half of the humanity is a believer in a God. And each and every religion has its own definition, which is quite contradictory to the another religion. This earth is having more than 350 religions. So we can say there are more than 350 kinds of gods. And in this whole jamboree of so many plural gods, and one seeming so different from the another one, it really confuses the mind. That sometimes one tends to say that there isn't any God and it's just a fabrication of the human mind. For some sociologists, they turn out with their own slogans that God is an idea which has been concocted by the priests and by the politicians for their own selfish benefits. For some ulterior motive, the idea of the God has been created. Because God is never going to come up and say, I am God. I am saying so because God always have been believed in most of the religion as a person, as a gracious, golden, supremest Superman who sits on his golden throne and on whim creates the world and on whim destroys the world. Most of the religion tend to accept this notion of God. So they have their own one kind of idol or an image of God, and then they have their own set of rituals which they believe in with a die-hard conviction. The most important thing which is to be understood is that for the human mind, which is already overloaded with information about gods, it seems so unreal to experience or to know really what God is. And truly speaking, most of the beautiful things in our life and in this world are beyond the category of defining in words what it means or what it seems. For example, the perfume of the scent of a rose, a scent of the best perfume. If someone asks, how does it sound to you? How would you explain that? As many as words as William Wordsworth would have, you may fill up volumes of books. But yet, in the end, you would say, kindly have a whiff from the bottle from where I have taken, and that's the only way to know what the smell, what the fragrance of that particular perfume is. These are very small things of our life, and yet those things which we have been experiencing since our day one in this physical body, and yet we find it so difficult to explain it in words or through words. Because all words have their limitation, so has the mind. And things which are beyond the mind, definitely the words cannot express that. So the moment we say, who is God? There are already so many answers being provided, ready-made answers being provided by the cults, by the scriptures, by the books, by the rabbis, by the priests. And yet the human mind is still hankering for what it really means. I would say this is something which cannot be explained by any enlightened master, living or not living, present in the body or not present in the body. It is something which one has to delve within and to know it what it is. For example, pain. Pain is something which you know it. If someone asks you to measure it, how many inches of pain or how many centimeters of pain. You cannot say it in inches or how long the pain is. We say, I have a deep pain, but if someone asks, how deep, 100 feet, 500 feet, you would say you only know what pain is when you experience it. Similarly, one thing which I can definitely say now is God is not a person, is not a supreme human being or like an human being sitting somewhere up above in the sky on his golden throne. God is beyond the limitations of the body, of the mind. We can say God is a reality. Now, reality is something which can be very much closer to the phenomenon of the relativity. How we perceive the things may be different from what they are. What we are seeing now, even this world, is so different from what it really is. Similarly, when I would say God is a reality, this reality is the essence. And the essence is of the truth. And the truth over here is not that truth which we use in our day-to-day life, the truth and the false, the truth and the lie. This is not that truth. When I say truth, it means the existence. So in words, if I have to put, then I can say God is the existential truth, and which can be known only by experience. And this experience will only happen to those who will have that scientific aptitude and work like an explorer who explores the depth and the breadth of the mind. And somewhere in exploring these layers of mind, one ends up with that oceanic feeling of the consciousness. Initially, it is the sleeping one, and slowly it begins to rise. And in that, some moments of those gaps which come in between, of these waves of the mind, these waves of the consciousness, something peeps up. And that gives you the first glimpse of what truth is or what God is. But definitely not a form, an abstract, not imaginative. It's not an imaginative. It's as much real it is as you or I am. So we can deny the existence of everything, but we can never deny the existence of our own self. So we need to know what this self is. And we need to understand, not just by mind, not just by words, not just by scriptures, but with the experience. And this experience comes out through the meditation. So there isn't any easy definition which I can provide, at least, because the easy things come easy and they go easy.